administering the oath of the office. Mr. Howell, welcome aboard. I guess all of us are moving down there.
How about the three of you line up here with, about 3.5 feet apart or so. Test. Okay. Well, it's my honor this evening to re-welcome aboard our members and welcome aboard a new board member. And I will administer the new board member oath of office. So if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. All three of you at the same time. You say, I, and state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am now about to enter. Okay, you have been duly sworn in, and I have a certificate of appointment. And this one goes to Dr. Chad Hauk. This one to Mr. Bill Ferris. And this one to Mr. Mike Scott. Congratulations. We will now take the dais, including you, Dr. Chad Hauk. All right.
Congratulations, guys. Good job.
Is there any? No? Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 1, adoption of the agenda. Any changes?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to add that we will hear item 12 after item 14.4.
Okay, I'll move that on over. Move on to item 2, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of November 19th, 2020. Any changes? Where did I see Mr. Rockwell somewhere over there? He's back behind us. Hearing none, the minutes will stand. We have no programs and presentations, no public hearings. Item 5, reports and communications. 5.1, student members report. Madison.
All right, hello everybody. So we're going to start with Murray tonight. They say that while we're all excited for the much-needed break, we've had many things happening to wrap up the fall semester at Murray. Students participated in Bully Free Week in November by creating either a Be Kind digital poster or a video with prizes awarded for first, second, and third in each grade level. Murray PTO sponsored a virtual fun run in November as a fundraiser with students and staff encouraged to walk or run anywhere at your own pace for 1 hour. Murray Winter concerts were held virtually this week with beginning and concert orchestra on Tuesday and beginning and concert band on Wednesday. We normally have a variety show at the end of the semester, with which we have had some great virtual performances submitted. We have postponed the virtual event to make sure we have had all of our submissions ready and to safely move this event to the virtual setting. The annual canned food drive ends tomorrow. Murray Middle School, in partnership with the United Methodist Church, to collect food items for families in need at F and Tacos, Smokehouse Junction, and Coldwell Banker. Students earn spirit points and a chance to win dinner and ice creams for them and 2 friends. Thank you to Coldwell Banker for sponsoring the raffle. 47 students were nominated for Student of the Month in November. Congratulations! Murray wishes everyone a healthy and safe winter break. All right, next we have Monroe. Math and middle school teachers continue to create collaborative opportunities for enrichment and intervention. We all know that some students have been impacted even more by the challenges of distance learning. and the staff has risen to the challenge to meet their needs. Teachers have innovated new ways to streamline the workload, prioritize assignments, and make themselves available for additional support. While there was a delay with the special needs in-person services, Monroe, along with other sites, is excited about the opportunity to bring the most vulnerable students on campus to provide them with an additional layer of support. To help with the social, emotional wellness and learning, the counselors have created school-wide opportunities for students to enjoy grade-level virtual social gathering all week during the minimum days. Students have, or will participate in, a variety of activities ranging from goodie making, festive outfit sharing, and singing karaoke. ASB continues to share their insights by helping students engage in approachable spirit days such as Pajama Day, Santa Hat Wearing Day, and an ugly sweater contest. All right, that concludes our middle schools, and now we have Mesquite High School. The holiday season has been a very difficult one at Mesquite. Our ASB students are busy planning a holiday spirit week as well as a virtual community for Friday, December 18th. There will be giveaways and prizes for our top participants. Some of Mesquite staff attended a check-in, check-out conference this month, and all staff continue to work with Kim Breen, affecting behavior change consultant, in developing our school-wide expectations and positively affecting our school culture. Mesquite teachers and staff are working together to support our students during this unprecedented time. Teachers are using fun ways to encourage engagement, including games, daily questions, and they're gearing up to host a fun competition in January. All right, and lastly, we have Burroughs. The first semester is drawing to a close, and Burroughs students have been studying diligently for the finals that began on Wednesday and will end tomorrow. Thank goodness. The different WASC focus groups, which have been working since 2018 to compile a report for the school's accreditors, met for the final time last Wednesday. Despite the state shutting back down, many Burroughs athletes are hoping the opposite for their sports seasons. All scheduled December sporting events have been canceled, but practices continue, and coaches and athletes alike remain hopeful for what the new year will bring. ASB has helped everyone get into the holiday spirit the past month with the spirit days such as Ugly Sweater Day and Holiday PJ Day, and festive challenges including the Holiday Decorations Challenge and the Gingerbread Cake Challenge. The Burroughs Music Department also added to the festivities by hosting 3 virtual winter concerts, all of which were last Tuesday and Wednesday. Looking to next year, book return will take place the first week back from break, while book distribution will be the following week. On behalf of Burroughs at ASB, I wish everyone a wonderful winter break and would like to applaud the students for their hard work all semester, and thank the teachers, administration, and district for their perseverance and receptiveness. And that is all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madison. We'll move on to item 5.2, reports from members of the board. Any reports? Dr. Howe?
I just wanted to say that I was thankful to get to go to the CSBA Annual Education Conference and attend the sessions for new board members. I'm excited to be a part of CRCNS once again, and I look forward to serving the community. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to welcome Dr. Houck, and I look forward to a complete board again. And I think we continue in the challenge that we are in.
Yes. Mr. Rockwell, do you have any comments?
Well, since you asked, I need to welcome Dr. Houck as well. So good to have you. And congratulations to Mr. Scott and Mr. Paris for hanging around another 4 years. Your community service is very impressive. Thanks for all you guys do.
Thank you, Mr. Rockwell. We'll move on to item 5.3, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Osteck.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Good evening, everyone. This is actually exciting. The city of Ridgecrest is completely overhauling and upgrading the audio and visual, and certainly the lighting. So I hope, as I've been listening to reports, I know there's a couple little echoes here and there, and I know just want to acknowledge that with the city, we're limping along tonight with existing equipment as they're removing it, and by our next meeting, I believe all of the new equipment will be installed, and I'm sure it'll be fantastic. Thought I'd issue a few remarks this evening. Our attendance report in month 3, our total enrollment was 4,897. Last year this time we were at 5,145, so that's a down figure of 248. I also wanted to update our board and the community on the City of Ridgecrest's application for the statewide park development and community revitalization program grant funds, which specifically, if we are when I say we, if the city of Ridgecrest is successful in its application for this grant, it would build our community a new pool. And so in a previous board meeting, we, as a board, our board issued a proclamation of support. The Sierra Sands Unified School District would not have any formal role or responsibility for the financial elements, but we certainly issued our support. And so part of our support, as we issued a survey to parents and staff, we received 475 of these responses in the Google survey, and we were able to gather some statistical data on the following questions. Does your student know how to swim? Does your student have access to public swim lessons through the city of Ridgecrest? Does your student have a place to swim in the summer? Does your student have access to a competitive swim program? And then there was a free response question about how a new aquatic center would impact your family. And the data that was gathered was obviously provided to the city of Ridgecrest. The data that was gathered, I reviewed. It's very compelling. It indicated a serious need and a lack of opportunity currently. So we were very pleased to do that. I want to mention that we see the mission of restoring a community access pool as aligning closely with our education mission. Our competitive high school swim team program is dependent upon a community pool. The benefits, obviously, of drowning prevention, safety, overall health and wellness benefits are paramount to the whole child. And so we're very supportive of the city of Ridgecrest in their effort to do this. And then also, communication is always of primary importance, but currently in the pandemic, obviously, you just can't possibly communicate enough, and we really value our connection with our faculty, our staff, our parents, our community. And so one of the things we embarked upon was to supplement our current use of channels. We obviously have our Parent Square and our district website and email and the media in town, but we realized that we could probably enhance our means of communication by being more active and finding more strategic and expert ways of communicating on our Facebook page. So we have been increasing our use of Facebook page, and recently we reviewed some Facebook analytics to see how well we are reaching our community, and here are a few standouts that I wanted to share with you. We have seen a 137% increase in the number of people we reach, which was 9,184 in the last 28 days. And it's important to note that this number reflects individual users, not just the aggregated reach attained by adding up the individual audiences of each post. Another trend I want to share and point out is post engagement, which increased to 6,083, and that's an increase of 436% of our previous ordinary use of our Facebook page. We also have more followers and page likes, which means these numbers will likely grow as we continue to post content that is meaningful and engaging to our parents and the community. And as I've been mentioning, of course, each of the last several months, we realized that we're operating in challenging times, and everybody is, our teachers, our counselors, our support staff, our parents, our students, and I think it's important that we do acknowledge that. And obviously, specifically, one of the most prominent features of challenge is that our students are not learning in the classroom right now. They're learning virtually, and there's a lot of great things that our teaching faculty are doing and innovating, and the way that they're connecting should be commended and lauded. But as one of my previous posts to the community recognizes, even if we could devise a perfect means of doing that, it wouldn't be a perfect system. And so we look forward to obviously continuing distance learning during a time when we have to be safe, and we have to recognize that safety is of great importance, and then capturing ways of leveraging current and new ways so that when we do transition to our on-campus learning and we do return even in greater numbers than we already are, that we can really integrate and embed all the new learning so that our permanent and ongoing experience on the campus is just that much more relevant, that much more powerful, that much more engaging. And so, anyways, getting back to the Facebook communication, we want to put a face to the work that we're doing. A lot of times our teachers are toiling, our staff are working away in exhausting and rigorous ways, and a lot of times it's in isolation. A lot of times you have to have quite an imagination and resilience to really have that fulfillment. And so we're looking at finding ways, expanding ways of helping all of those individuals, our teachers, our students, put that, personify that experience, because we know people are challenged right now. We see the increased Facebook presence as a supplement to our established methods of communication, which I mentioned, like, for example, Parent Square. And I should note that I did send an update to all staff, parents, and community today via Parent Square just this afternoon. So I guess I would finish by saying we're powering through, we're making our way, we're doing the best we can, but there is a lot to look forward to. I see a lot of resolve and a lot of hope for a new and brighter future. I should highlight that we're really excited about forward progress, and we will be building out our $2 million federally funded private LTE network that will basically eliminate that homework divide and make sure that we have strong and stable internet connectivity for all of our students and staff moving forward. And there are so many ways that we will innovate and we will emerge stronger, and our legacy for Sierra Sands as we move through and then past the pandemic will be how we responded, how we supported one another, and then how we learned and emerged stronger and better as we move forward and serve our students in the coming years and decades. So there was a lot of hype moving into 2020, which is ironic. And so I'm putting a lot of hope and expectation into 2021, and I wish everyone a happy holiday and a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ostash. Move on to item 5.4, report to the Board of Trustees by the Desert Area Teachers Association. Ms. Poole?
Good evening, y'all. As we're moving into winter break, with the promise of a brighter, kinder year, I thought it would maybe be appropriate to reflect on the positive lessons of 2020. There are plenty of negative ones, but I'm in my goofy sweater, and I feel like being happy, and I've been grading all day, and I've gotten a little punchy. And I think we're at that time where we just sort of want to, take stock of everything. And what gets me through, and it's been a hard year, and the end of semester, at secondary, we're at the end of semester, and it's a really tricky time right now. But I think what I want to just emphasize, because this is what helps me, is the fact that the reason that we're upset, right? The reason that I've been trying to work this in somehow, the reason that we're making the sound and feeling the fury is that we aren't able to hang out with each other. And all of us here, with all our differences, at the end, we just want to be together. And I think that it's easy to forget that. But that's the one thing I cling to at 2 in the morning when I wake up panicked about the lesson plans that I've had to convert, and I hope they're going to engage the kids. We're angry because we're not together, and kids are disappointed that they're not coming onto the campus. And I want us to remember that school's important, and we know it's important, but it's kind of neat that we're having this chance for everyone to realize just everything that it provides. And it's not just the building, and it's not just any one thing. It's that sense of community, and it's the rigor in the academics, and it's all the interactions that we have. And so I'm hopeful that when we go back, that it's going to go smoothly. How else would it be? And so I just want to recognize that that it's easy to feel kind of down, but it's great that everybody wants to be back together. I want to be back in my classroom, all my colleagues want to be back in the classroom, and I just want us all to make sure that we're back in there when we're safe, because that's the most important thing of all, and that's why we're willing to make all these sacrifices, because in the end, we want to be safe. So, hope y'all have a good 2 weeks off, because I'm going to.
Thank you, Ms. Poole. Move on to item 5.5, report to the Board of Trustees by the California School Employees Association. Do we have a representative? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5.6, communication from the public. The board will provide time during the discussion of each agenda item for members of the public to comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on an item not on the agenda. Comments should relate to items of public interest within the board's jurisdiction. The law prohibits the board from taking action on items not on the agenda. If appropriate, your comments will be referred to staff for response. When addressing the board, please state your name and address at the podium and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. In accordance with the board bylaws, the board will limit the total time for public input to 30 minutes. Those wishing to address the board beyond the 30-minute time limit may do so at the end of the scheduled meeting agenda. We'll open up public comment at 7:26. Seeing no takers, we'll close it at 7:26 in 10 seconds. We'll move on to item 6, Educational Administration. 6.1, approval of Gizmo's 2-year agreement for Monroe and Murray Middle School. Ms. Decker.
Good evening, President Scott, members of the board, Superintendent Ostash, staff, and community. The Department of Defense STEAM grant is currently in its 4th year of implementation at Monroe and Murray Middle Schools. The goals of the program are to improve college and career readiness for military-connected students in math and science instruction, emphasizing project-based learning and interdisciplinary instruction. Gizmos is the world's largest library of interactive online math and science simulations aligned to Common Core math and science standards that help teachers bring new learning experiences to the classroom. Students develop a deep understanding of challenging concepts through inquiry and exploration. Students move beyond memorizing facts to true understanding of academic concepts. The simulations can be used in small groups, whole class, or individually. The middle school math and science teachers have been using Gizmos since 2017 and would like to continue using this platform. Students are currently learning remotely, and student engagement is a priority. The online platform will allow teachers to provide engaging activities for students in science and math. It also helps prepare students for the types of questions they will encounter on the California Science Test. The 2020-22 Gizmos agreement is $13,455, which includes professional development for the teachers, and it will be funded through the Department of Defense STEAM grant. It is recommended that the board authorize the Gizmos agreement as presented.
Move recommended action.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board or staff or community? Hearing none, call for a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Dr. Houck.
Aye.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. It's unanimous. Move on to item 6.2, approval of 1-year contract for IXL learning at James Monroe and Murray Middle School. Ms. Decker.
The Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015 holds schools accountable for improving student achievement. Access to relevant data and analysis tools can help schools and teachers to make more informed decisions about programs and student achievement. Alignment of instruction, assessment, and monitoring program effectiveness are 2 specific actions that are used to improve educational practice in math. Murray and Monroe Middle Schools are in need of an online math intervention program to provide additional instruction to students not meeting math standards. IXL is a personalized learning platform that is proven to improve learning outcomes for all students. IXL's comprehensive curriculum, real-time diagnostics, personalized guidance, and actionable analytics work together seamlessly to give teachers everything they need to differentiate instruction and help students master math standards. The Department of Defense STEAM grant, like I said, is currently in its 4th year of implementation at Monroe and Murray, and one of the goals of the program, like I stated before, is to improve that college and career readiness for military-connected students, especially in math in this case. One of the strategies that we've outlined in the grant is to extend learning for math and reinforcement. The second quarter progress reports indicate a need for math intervention at all grade levels. Murray and Monroe's 1-year agreement with IXL Learning will allow math teachers to regularly monitor student progress in math. Regularly monitoring student progress has been identified as a district goal in both the school plan for student achievement and the local control accountability plan. The 1-year agreement is $12,795 and will be funded out of the Department of Defense STEAM grant funds. It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize Monroe and Murray to enter into a contract with IXL Learning for 1 year.
The recommended action.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? Hearing none, call for a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Dr. Houck.
Aye.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. It's unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Decker. Move on to item 6.3, adoption of resolution number 16/2021, temporary amendments to board policy and administrative regulations 6146.1, high school graduation requirements during the 2020-2021 school year. Ms. Hafka.
Good evening, President Scott, members of the board, Superintendent Ostash, staff, and community. In response to the unprecedented school closures and educational disruption resulting from the COVID-19 health crisis, the Sierra Sands Unified School District finds it necessary to provide direction and support regarding the policies and administrative regulations related to graduation requirements. California Education Code 51225.3 sets forth the state's minimum graduation requirements. As indicated in the board header, the minimum total credits are 130. Whereas Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 6146.1, High School Graduation Requirements, sets forth the district's graduation requirements that exceed the requirements in EC 51225.3 at 230 total credits. In recognition of an increase in endangered seniors resulting from the challenges associated with COVID-19's disruption of regular instructional programs, and in consideration of District Goal Number 2, maximize student engagement and achievement, temporary amendments to Board Policy and AR 6146.1 high school graduation requirements during the 2020-21 school year is recommended as follows. A maximum waiver of 10 elective credits shall be permitted for endangered 2021 seniors in comprehensive and alternative education programs upon administrative approval. The request to waive a maximum of 10 elective credits may be initiated by the following: parent, guardian of an endangered 2021 senior, endangered 2021 senior, high school counselor, or high school administrator. Waiver approvals shall be provided by the superintendent's designees, the Burroughs High School and/or Mesquite High School administration. The proposed amendments to BPAR 6146.1 and 2021 Endangered Senior Elective Credits Waiver Form, Exhibit A, are provided as attachments for the board's review and consideration. It is the superintendent's recommendation to adopt Resolution 16/2021, temporary amendments to Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 6146.1, high school graduation requirements during the 2020-21 school year, as presented.
Move recommended action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? It looks like Mr. Ferris.
I just want to comment that I think this is just another example of one of the facets of the many challenges that we have this year. And I appreciate the agility and the attention given to all the challenges that we're facing to try and address them in the best way to meet the needs of our kids. It is, we talk often about how the challenges are facing everyone, the staff, the teachers, the parents, the students. But in the end, the reason we're here is for the students, and to be able to find a way to accommodate them, to help move them into their futures is really critical. So I really appreciate this kind of sensitivity, this kind of action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Any further questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. I'll call for a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Dr. Houck.
Aye.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. It's unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Hapko. Move on to item 6.4, approval of alternative dispute resolution services, proposed service agreement between Harper Conflict Resolution and Sierra Sands, SELPA. Mr. Auld.
President Scott, members of the board, Superintendent Ostash, it's my pleasure this evening to present on behalf of Mr. Delbick, who is currently traveling to visit one of the non-public sites that one of our students has been attending as an agreement that was made in an IEP, and unfortunately couldn't be here this evening. Alternative dispute resolution, or ADR, is an informal method of settling disagreements that may arise during the IEP process. ADR uses specific strategies within the process to open communication, promote understanding, and reach agreements that support and strengthen relationships. This no-cost, outcome-oriented process offers families an opportunity to resolve disputes collaboratively while avoiding time-consuming and costly litigation. A neutral facilitator will help navigate any issues or complaints that are brought to the attention of the Sierra Sands Special Education Department. Typically, formal complaints filed with the California Department of Education take 60 or more days to resolve, and the resolutions are determined by the CDE. The ADR process can expedite resolutions to a family's concerns and allows both parties to work together to develop a mutually agreed upon outcome. The California Department of Education finds that the ADR process is a desirable and effective practice that supports the positive interaction and collaboration among parents and educators and promotes in assisting parents and educational agencies in the implementation of the use of conflict resolution throughout the state. In October 2020, the district applied for the ADR COVID grant from CDE and it was approved. The ADR COVID grant period is 27 months, retroactive to July 2020 through September 2022. Since due process filings are costly for both parties and resolutions may take months or even years to reach an agreement, the district would like to partner with Harper Conflict Resolution, LLC, as a positive prevention measure. Jason Harper specializes in education and employment mediation, utilizing a collaborative approach. Based off the attached proposal, Jason Harper has a project-based breakdown of services to reflect this commitment. The proposed services include 1, training sessions for parents and district employees in effective communication, de-escalation strategies for contentious moments, the methods of IEP facilitation, and other topics that build capacity for collaboration and conflict management. 2, post-due process filing formal resolution sessions. And 3, consulting services including conflict coaching and IEP meeting facilitation. Financial implications: the cost for the service agreement will not exceed $60,000 and will be funded through the district's ADR grant allocation. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the district to enter into a service agreement with Jason Harper of Harper Conflict Resolution, LLC, as presented.
Move recommended action.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Dr. Houck? Mr. Ferris?
Aye.
Myself, aye, it's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Old. Move on to no policy development and review, and we'll move on to item 8, personal administration.
Move 8.1 and 8.2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for 8182. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Dr. Houck? Mr. Ferris?
Aye.
Myself, aye. That's unanimous for 8182. Move on to item 8.3, early notification of retirement incentive. Mr. Old?
For the background information, as many of you know, for several years, the district has offered an incentive for early notification of retirement, and the emphasis is on notification. 2009-2010, the board approved an increase in the incentive amount to $3,000 for each retiring certificated employee and $1,600 for each retiring classified employee who declared in writing prior to a specific date in January his or her intent to retire. This provides the district with valuable information in determining staffing needs for the upcoming school year. The district would like to offer the incentive for an early notification of retirement program for the 2020-2021 school year to assist with identification of staffing needs. The district is proposing to continue with its offer from the last few years in the amount of $3,000 for certificated and $1,600 for classified employees who submit their written retirement notice by no later than February 11th, 2021. The retirement windows are listed there. Employees must be eligible to retire under CalSTRS or CalPERS in order to receive this incentive. All employees eligible to retire will receive the letter via district email during the week of December 18th through December 30th, 2020 from the Human Resources Department describing the early notification of retirement incentive program. We would like to emphasize that this proposed incentive has no or absolutely no impact or desired impact on an employee's decision to retire. We're making no attempt in any way to imply that we're offering an incentive or an award for retirement. Given the statewide shortage of highly qualified teachers, we would prefer to keep all of our teachers. This proposed incentive is merely focused on obtaining early notification by eligible employees of their personal decision to retire. Since the district plans to recruit new teachers actually from February until August, hopefully not, May is pretty optimistic, it will be extremely valuable to the process of hiring the best and brightest with the knowledge of what positions will be vacant due to retirement. The financial implications. Last year, the district paid 2 classified notification incentives and 14 certificated notification incentives for a total cost of $45,200. The exact fiscal impact is unknown, but it is projected that we will have a similar number of employees who take the notification incentive. Most important for the district are the benefits associated with the management of staffing in the current statewide environment, which districts are experiencing shortages of qualified applicants. In addition, we know that we have, with the pandemic, teachers who are choosing to retire early, and so this will be even more important to have this information. It is the student's recommendation, or the superintendent's recommendation, to approve the incentive for early notification of retirement program for 2020-2021 in the amount of $3,000 for each certificated employee and $1,600 for each classified employee who declares his or her intent to retire in writing within the applicable retirement window by no later than February 11th, 2021.
Move recommended action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board? I see you smiling back there, Mr. Rockwell.
Mr. Rockwell, I'm disappointed.
Mr. Ostash, Dr. Ostash, Mr. Ostash then, Dr. Ostash now has beat it out of me.
Oh. That's going on your evaluation this year. Yes.
But I appreciate.
And I think we all understand the concerns and the value and stuff, but we've always appreciated you making those comments, Mr. Rockwell.
Some people are slower
I think,
learners.
well, I think given the circumstances of this year, it sort of is not as significant of an issue to me at the moment, given everything else that you guys are doing. I'll probably come back and beat on it next year, though.
Sounds good. Any further questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? We have a motion and a second. I'll call for a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Dr. Houck.
Aye.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. It's unanimous. Move on to item 8.4, approval to enter into purchase order with Quest Diagnostics for COVID-19 employee surveillance testing. Mr. Auld.
So, as has become accustomed, because we've brought so many items that included CARES funding, I'll skip the background information and go into the current considerations. The district currently employs 139 classified employees who are not eligible for the Anthem Blue Cross health and welfare benefits. In addition to the 139 employees, the district also employs both certificated and classified substitutes. These employees will need to be included in surveillance testing. Therefore, the district intends to enter into a contract with Quest Diagnostic to provide the surveillance testing for employees who do not have health and welfare benefits at a cost to the district. The next section I know you're fully aware of, I believe. The financial implications. The purpose of COVID-19 surveillance testing meets the 3 criteria in the Coronavirus Relief Fund and meets SB 98's allowable use of CARES Act funds in addressing health and safety concerns. The cost for implementing COVID-19 surveillance testing for district employees who do not qualify for health and welfare benefits is estimated to be $30,000. And I should clarify that the reason we're only talking about employees that do not have coverage is because all of our employees who are covered, who have health and welfare benefits, CISC will be covering the cost for the surveillance testing. So there will be no cost for that. But this piece they will not cover, and this is why we're bringing it to you so that we can make sure that we are following the California Department of Public Health's guidance with regards to surveillance testing. It is recommended that the board approve the expenditure of $30,000 for COVID-19 surveillance testing as presented.
Move recommend action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? Just want to make a comment. Appreciate this. I know how important this is, and I know you had to jump through some hurdles to make this happen. So we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Dr. Houck.
Aye.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Auld. Move on to item 9, general administration, 9.1, gifts to the district. Mr. Ferris.
The following gift was received. Linda Ullert-Zhang donated a Palantino violin, 2 violin bows, and a case with an estimated cash value of $300 to be used by the Murray Middle School Orchestra. As donations provide support to the district and have a positive financial impact, the superintendent's recommendation is to accept the gift as described and send appropriate letters of appreciation, which I so move.
Second. We have a motion and a second. If there's no questions or comments from the board, staff, or community, have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson. And got a message from him. He might be losing cell signal, so we'll move on to Dr. Houck.
Aye.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. So there'd be a 4. I don't know how you'd, yeah. So, thank you, Diane. Move on to item 10, construction administration, 10.1, report to the board, construction activities and issues. Mr. Coit. Oh, he texted aye.
Oh, he texted me.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do you need to see the phone to confirm?
President Scott, members of the board, Superintendent Ostash, and community, I'm pleased to give this update on the status of the district's construction activities. This report is presented for informational purposes only, and no action is required. Borough's PAC repairs. The ADA accessibility portion of the project is complete. This work consisted of a redesign of the handicap accessible parking on the east side of the PAC parking lot. The remaining work is progressing on schedule with an anticipated completion date of April 21st, 2021. Our DoD project, Richmond School, project proposal was sent to our OEA project manager, Sigmund Chichery, for review and comment on October 21st. We have received Sig's comments, and our team is working with him to make necessary revisions. We anticipate sending the revised grant proposal in for full federal OEA DoD review in January. And any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board?
Just happy to see progress.
Yes.
Be nice to get back in the pack.
We'll move on to item, that's just informational purposes. We'll move on to 10.2, authorization to approve contract change order number 1 with Asbestos Services, Inc. for earthquake repairs at the Performing Arts Center. Mr. Coit.
The district suffered damage to its facilities as a result of 2 earthquakes in July of 2019. One of the buildings damaged was the Performing Arts Center at Burroughs High School. Over the course of the last 14 months, the district has worked with Colombo Construction, Ortiz Melby Architects, and the Division of State Architecture to analyze, design, and obtain approval for planned construction to repair the building. The district has now commenced those repairs. On October 15th, 2020, the board approved the contract with Asbestos Services, Inc. for demolition and abatement of the existing fireproofing at the PAC. The bid documents associated with that contract included existing plans of the PAC, which indicated that all of the fireproofing material was contained in exposed portions of the ceiling. One of the DSA requirements for PAC repairs is to enclose drywall envelope above the new ceiling tile grid. In the process of removing the existing walls to allow for that construction, it was discovered that there were several unexposed beams that also were covered with asbestos-containing material. ASI was asked to submit a change order for the additional scope of work. So change order number 1, the complete change order, the value was $21,700. It is anticipated that 75% of this funding will be reimbursed from the California Office of Emergency Services. The remaining 25% will come from Fund 40, Capital Facilities Fund. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the board authorize the district to approve contract change order number 1 with Asbestos Services, Inc. as presented.
Move recommended action.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson, if you got back on. Dr. Howe. Aye. Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. The 4-1 vote. Thank you, Mr. Coit. I don't think we'll ever have a project where we open up walls and not find something, right? Yeah. No surprise on that. Move on to item 11, business administration. 11.1, request for authorization to donate toys and play equipment from Mesquite Continuation High School to Siracosa Community College Child Development Center. Ms. Smith.
Good evening, President Scott, members of the board, Superintendent Ostash, community, and staff. Mesquite Continuation High School ran a child care program between 1980 and 2006. All of the toys and play equipment used by that program have been stored at Mesquite since that time. California Education Code Section 17.545 and SSUSD Administrative Regulation 3270 state that the governing board may sell for cash any personal property belonging to the district if it is not required for school purposes, or if it should be disposed of for the purpose of replacement, or it is unsatisfactory or not suitable for use. Per Board Policy 3270, if board members who are in attendance at a meeting unanimously find that the value of the property is insufficient to defray the cost of arranging a sale, the property may be donated to a charitable organization deemed appropriate by the board.
After examining the child care toys and play equipment, it has been determined that the value of the property is insufficient to defray the cost of arranging a sale. We contacted the Saracoso Community College Child Development Center, and they would be interested in having the toys and play equipment donated to their organization. There is no financial impact associated with this item. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the board authorize the district to donate toys and play equipment from Mesquite Continuation High School to the Saracoso Community College Child Development Center as presented.
Move recommended action.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community?
As an employee at Saracoso and seeing the Child Development Center running and having been at Mesquite and got to see all of that equipment, I'm glad that it's finding a home. Because I work at Saracoso, that's why I did motion and second and probably won't participate because I'm not sure yet whether it's appropriate, but
You're gonna
it needs to be
abstain?
unanimous, right?
Well, if he abstains,
No.
it.
Okay, it'll be
But
okay.
it's still, yeah.
I'm glad I got that clarification because I think it's a very good thing, so.
Any further questions or comments? Have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson, if you're back.
Aye.
Dr. Huck. Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. It's unanimous. Move on to item 11.2, adoption of resolution number 17/2021 regarding the annual accounting of developer fees for the 2019-20 fiscal year. Ms. Smith.
Government Code Section 66001 and 66006 require public entities such as school districts collecting statutory school facility fees to make public and report to governing boards an annual accounting regarding the status of the account in which those funds reside. The board's adoption of Resolution 17/2021 and the two accompanying exhibits complete the district's compliance with the government codes referenced above. The report is for the 2019-20 school year. The balances of Fund 25 developer fees are as follows. The board header lists the beginning balance totals. The ending balance is $640,780.66. Income and expense information as well as summary graphs are included with this board item. The fact that both commercial and residential development is continuing is a positive sign for the district as well as the community. In 2019-20, as in 2018-19, developer fees collected by the City of Ridgecrest continue to outpace those collected by the County of Kern. It is recommended that the board adopt Resolution 17/2021 and the accompanying exhibits as presented.
Recommended.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Dr. Houck.
Aye.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye, unanimous. Move on to 11.3, request for authorization to sell Burroughs High School auto shop vehicles valued at less than $2,500. Ms. Smith.
The background is comparable to 11.1. If board members in attendance at a meeting unanimously agree that the property, whether one or more items, does not exceed $2,500 in value, the district may sell the property without advertising for bids. The Burroughs High School Auto Shop program has had multiple vehicles donated to it over the last several years for use by the program. The vehicles listed on the attachment are no longer operational, have been utilized beyond the point of being of value to the program, and the district has been storing them at various locations within the district. The district received an assessment from a local auto recycler and has determined that the combined value of the vehicles is less than $2,500. Selling these vehicles would be beneficial to the district as the vehicles are unsightly and it is necessary to track the locations of the stored vehicles. The district will also receive a small return on the sale. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the board unanimously determine that the vehicles listed on the attachment are no longer of value to the district, have a value of less than $2,500, and authorize the district to sell them.
Recommended action.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community?
Just one. this is a very sad night for me because one of the vehicles on there was my son's from when he was 16 to 26 or something like that. An old Ford Explorer, otherwise known as Red Lightning. So I'm sad to see it go, and I'm really sad to see it's only worth $50 because I put in a whole lot of money right before I donated it to Borough.
You could probably buy it back from the recycler if you want.
Store it with those buses that you're gonna have.
Might build a house out of it.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Any further comments? We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Dr. Houck. Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. It's unanimous. We've moved to item 12. We'll move into item 13, consent calendar.
Move the entire consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Dr. Houck.
Aye.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Myself, aye. It's unanimous. We'll move on to item 14, organization of the board. Dr. Ostash.
Thanks, Mr. Scott. At this time, I will ask for nominations for the office of President of the Board from now through the next organization meeting in December 2021. So this time I'd recommend you engage in electing a president by roll call vote.
Oh, well,
I nominate Mr. Ferris and move that we close nominations.
second.
Second.
So we have Mr. Ferris nominated. We've closed nominations. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Mr. Ferris.
Mr. Johnson. Yeah. Dr. Houck. Yeah, yes, yes. Mr. Ferris? Yes, yeah, I know.
I want to move that also.
Yes.
It's good.
Yes.
It's a long cycle here, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah, I know.
you get up on it.
Myself will be for Mr. Ferris, so that will be 4-1. Take off number 14-2.
At this time, I'll ask for nominations for the office of Vice President Clerk of the Board from now through the next organizational meeting in December 2021.
Nominate Mr. Rockwell.
Make a motion that we close nominations. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Mr. Rockwell.
Mr.
Oh,
Johnson.
wait, actually, before we do this, can I say something real quick?
You may.
Obviously, over the many months of this pandemic, I've been doing this remotely. I understand that that's a little bit of a limitation, although I don't think much. But my intention through the pandemic would be to maintain that stance. So if anybody has any issues with that, then I wanted to make sure that that was clear. Also, to further discuss this, my opinion is that the vice president position could be handled remotely. I think it's more of a challenge for the president. So a year from now, if if history continues forward and there was a need to maintain a distance stance, I would respectfully decline the presidency if that was an issue for the board. So anyway, I just wanted to be clear about that before we had the vote, in case anybody had any concern.
No.
So getting back to the roll call, or it's not really, what's it actually called? What was it, terminology? What did you call it?
The wording here is to, by roll call vote.
By roll call vote. Okay, Mr. Rockwell?
Mr. Rockwell.
Mr. Johnson? Dr. Houck?
Mr. Rockwell.
Mr. Ferris?
Mr. Rockwell.
Myself, Mr. Rockwell. That'll be 4-1 on 14.2. Move into 14.3, Dr. Ostash.
Okay, this is related to the election of board representative and alternate representative to the committee that elects members to the county.
Nominate Dr. Houck.
Okay.
I second and move we close nominations.
Okay, so we have a nomination and a second to close nominations. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Dr. Houck.
Mr. Johnson.
Dr. Houck.
Dr. Houck. Mr. Ferris.
Dr. Houck.
And myself, Dr. Houck. Welcome. We'll move on to,
We do need to nominate an alternate representative.
I nominate Mr. Scott.
see how this works?
I second. I move we close nominations.
We have a nomination and a motion to close nominations. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rockwell.
Mr. Scott.
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Scott.
Dr. Houck. Mr. Ferris. And myself, Mr. Scott. We'll move it back to Dr. Ostash for 14.
Lots of names flying around here.
Yeah, and it goes down to Mr. Doctor.
The last one here is, of course, we know fondly Mrs. Castillo Covert served as the board's representative for quite some time for meetings related to the National Association of Federally Impacted Schools, we know as NAFIS, until her untimely passing in May of 2020. I will ask for nominations for NAFIS representative from now through the next organizational meeting in December 2021.
I nominate Mr. Scott.
I would like for us to consider whether or not we wish to continue this specific designation. Mr. Scott, do you have specific interest in doing it?
I think it's a worthwhile discussion too.
Back up just a second. I missed the first part of what you said.
Do you have? Oh, my first part is
No, I heard that part, but
okay.
then you.
Do you have specific interest in filling this post?
I would. I'm at the point where I think I would have the time. Obviously, I think it's a critical need that we should fill. As we've always had involvement in it, that benefits us immensely. So, and I've got no problem doing some type of a joint, but I know we've got some big shoes to fill. I know how involved Amy was, and I would have to get with Dr. Ostash and get brought up to speed. But I don't think, I think Mr. Rockwell hit the nail on the head. I don't think we're going to be doing anything in person for some time, so at least it gives the opportunity to get caught up on some of the issues and probably appear Zoom-wise. So,
I think my personal sense is I would, if Mr. Scott has interest in doing this, I would support his nomination, but I would also ask that over time we kind of evaluate our participation in that way and what we actually bring to the table for our district outside of what we do with our employed representatives as well.
Yeah, I concur, Mr. Ferris. I think that, given especially this year where it's likely to be a virtual engagement, that I think we ought to keep engaged. I think it'd be nice to get a new face, a new perspective on, the impact that we have by being involved. And by having a consistent face involved. We've had many discussions over the years about, what's the value of being there, for all the meetings? What's the value of having one person? Is there any value in, rotating participation from meeting to meeting, or, all of those things? And I think all of those things ought to be open for discussion, but I think that Mr. Scott is willing to serve, and it's likely to be a low-cost participation this year that, maybe we should take advantage of that.
And it might be nice for a couple of us can appear virtually, so.
Mr. Scott?
Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm also interested in that position too, if you don't have the bandwidth to do it. Being in the military for 40 years and serving the students, I think it's important to have my perspective on things too, so it's over to the board though.
No, and I think that makes a great point. I don't think, nothing wrong with us, tag teaming, co-chairing, whatever word you want to use on this. I mean, it's nice to have a face, but I think between the three or the five of us, we'll make this work.
Mr. President, might I add, is it okay if I add something?
Of course.
I respect and appreciate it. It's a great board conversation, and I think I agree that it should be had, and it could be had regularly because there's value in that. For what it's worth to the board, I do believe that there is high value in participating. I don't think we as an organization need to attend all of the events that could add up in cost. I think we need to attend some. And I just wanted to share an observation in getting moderately involved over the last few years. I have noticed and observed sort of a crosswalk between the NAFIS organization and also activities and associations with things like the Department of Defense and the Office of Economic Adjustment. And of course, we know that the Department of Defense we have many DODEA grants, many very value-added monies and grants that come through Department of Defense. And also, we of course know the many, many millions of dollars we have received and will be receiving for our school builds. And I've noticed in my observation that in attendance at some of these NAFIS meetings that there are representatives from DODEA and DOD and OEA who are a part of that organization, and it sort of surprised me at first, but then I realized there is some crosswalking that goes on, and we have met as a district with representatives at NAFIS events to coordinate and even comply with, I believe. I'm going to look out at Mrs. Sackler real quickly, that with NAFIS events, there are some even committee meetings that take place at NAFIS that are related to some of the grants we have. So I just wanted to share that observation and that experience that I've had that you may not know as another point of consideration for the board.
Appreciate that, Dr. Ostash. Any further comments on this? We have a nomination, and I think we closed nominations. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Rock, do we have a second?
Mr. Scott.
I'll second it.
Oh.
Mr. Rockwell.
Mr. Scott.
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson.
Dr. Houck. Mr. Ferris.
Mr. Scott.
Myself, Mr. Scott. Move on to, go back to item, actually we'll temporarily adjourn a regular meeting, and we'll move into the Intercurrent Schools Financing Authority Board of Directors meeting. If I can get that to open back up. We've already had the call to order, pledge the flag. We'll move on to item 1, adoption of the agenda. Any changes? Move on to item 2, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of November 19th, 2020. Any changes? Minutes will stand. Move on to item 3, acknowledgement of new officers. You want to do that, Mr. or Dr. Ostash?
Ms. Naslin, so are they the same officers that we just elected?
Yes. So, okay. So Mr. Ferris will be the president. Mr. Rockwell will be the vice. Okay. Is that all we have to acknowledge? Okay. We'll move on to item 4, adjournment. We'll adjourn the Intercurrent Schools Financing Authority. Move back into the regular meeting. Item 15, future agenda. Any future agenda items? Then we'll move on to item 16, adjournment. And next meeting, January January 21st, next regular scheduled meeting. You guys enjoy the holidays, enjoy the Christmas break, and have a happy New Year.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, is it turn? Welcome, sir.